Hey man, let's get this straight from the beginning. Trust is not something you hand out like candy. Trust is not something you give because she's pretty, because she smiles at you, because she says all the right words in the beginning. And yet that's exactly what most men do. They meet a woman, get swept up in her attention, and instantly lower their guard. They start believing her promises, taking her words as truth, and placing their heart in her hands without hesitation. But here's the reality. Women live in a world of emotions, and emotions change. The woman who swore she'd love you forever can feel differently next month and convince herself it's just as true. That's why, brother, a man who blindly trusts women is a man walking into a storm without shelter. This isn't about hating women. This isn't about bitterness or anger. This is about seeing the truth for what it is. Female psychology is fluid. Her love, her loyalty, her words, they are tied to how she feels in the moment, and feelings are temporary, unstable, and easily influenced by circumstances. That's why you've seen men who gave everything, money, loyalty, years of their life, get replaced in a heartbeat by a stranger who offered her nothing more than excitement. It's not because men aren't enough, it's because women are not anchored in the same way men are. A man's word when he's grounded is a contract. A woman's word when she's emotional is a reflection of her current mood. And basing your entire life on her shifting emotions is a recipe for destruction. Every man has that moment where he realizes trust is not permanent, it's conditional. She trusts you as long as you make her feel secure. She loves you as long as you keep her emotions high. She's loyal as long as she doesn't see a shinier option. And the minute one of those conditions changes, she changes too. That's why so many men feel blindsided, because they believed her forever when she only meant for now. And once you learn that lesson, once you've been betrayed by the very woman you thought would never hurt you, something inside of you changes forever. You stop trusting blindly. You stop believing words without proof. You stop putting your life in the hands of someone who can't even control her own feelings. When I say I no longer trust a single woman alive, it doesn't mean I hate them. It means I understand them. It means I see their nature clearly. It means I don't expect them to be something they're not. I don't expect them to be consistent when their biology is tied to emotion. I don't expect them to be logical when their psychology thrives in contradiction. I don't expect them to carry the weight of loyalty the way men do, because loyalty for men is principle, but loyalty for women is feeling. And when you stop expecting women to act like men, you stop being disappointed. You stop giving blind trust and start giving measured trust. Trust that is earned, proven, and continuously reinforced through actions, not words. The strongest men I know live by this principle. Trust no woman fully, but respect what she shows consistently. That doesn't mean paranoia. It doesn't mean closing your heart forever. It means building boundaries so strong that no betrayal can destroy you. It means letting her prove her loyalty over time. Not in the honeymoon phase where every word sounds sweet and every promise feels eternal. It means you don't put your mission on hold, you don't lower your standards, you don't sacrifice your frame for a smile. Because the moment you place your trust in her, instead of in yourself, you give her the power to break you. And brother, that's power no man should hand over to anyone alive. The illusion most men fall for is thinking their situation is different. They'll hear stories of betrayal, of women leaving men after decades, of wives turning cold overnight, of girlfriends trading loyalty for fleeting excitement, and they'll still think, that won't happen to me, she's not like that. But that thought itself is the trap. Every man who got destroyed once thought the same thing. Every man who lost his fortune, his children, or his sanity believed his woman was different. And that's why blind trust is dangerous. Because women don't betray based on being good or bad, they shift based on how they feel, and no man alive can guarantee her feelings will stay the same tomorrow. Trusting that her emotions will last forever is like trusting the ocean to never bring a storm. You must also understand that culture feeds this illusion. Movies, music, and media glorify unconditional female love as if it were eternal, as if women anchor themselves the way men do. But look around, divorce rates, broken families, relationships that collapse over the smallest discomfort. Women are not taught to endure anymore. They are taught to leave the moment they stop feeling fulfilled. And men, being conditioned by those cultural lies, hand their trust over freely, expecting a fairy tale that no longer exists. That's why so many men are blindsided when she leaves. They didn't fail, they just trusted a system that was never designed to protect them. And when you see that clearly, brother, you stop playing by society's script and start playing by reality. Another layer of this truth is realizing that women will often rewrite history to justify their choices. She may tell you she loved you once, but when her feelings fade, she will convince herself that maybe she never truly did. She'll look back and say things like, "I was young, I didn't know better, I wasn't happy for a long time." And that rewriting of history cuts deeper than the betrayal itself, because you thought the memories were real, but now she reframes them as illusions. That's why blind trust is so dangerous. It makes you invest in a version of reality that can be erased the moment her feelings shift. And once you see how easily words can change, you stop trusting words altogether. You start trusting only consistent patterns of action. When I say I no longer trust a single woman alive, it's not a declaration of war, it's a declaration of self-preservation. It means I've learned that no matter how sweet her voice, how sincere her eyes, or how eternal her promises sound, her loyalty will always be conditional. And if her loyalty is conditional, then my trust must be conditional too. Conditional on respect, conditional on consistency, conditional on whether she aligns with my standards and stays within my frame. This doesn't mean I shut myself off to love. It means I engage with love intelligently, with boundaries that cannot be crossed. Because love without boundaries isn't love, it's suicide. Here's the paradox. When you stop blindly trusting women, you actually start handling them better. You stop putting them on pedestals. You stop expecting perfection. You stop being shocked when they act according to their nature. You treat them like human beings with flaws, contradictions, and shifting emotions. And when you do that, you stop being disappointed. Because disappointment only exists when reality doesn't meet your expectations. Remove the false expectations, and suddenly you see clearly. You stop being angry when she tests you. You stop being shocked when she's inconsistent. You stop being destroyed when she leaves, because you already knew what she was capable of. That knowledge doesn't make you bitter, it makes you unbreakable. Once you accept that trust cannot be handed out freely, you start to move differently. You stop living in reaction to her emotions, and you start living in alignment with your mission. Most men, when they trust blindly, build their lives around a woman. They make her the foundation of their peace, the center of their joy, the keeper of their future. But when she shifts, when her feelings fade, when her loyalty dissolves, their entire life collapses with her. That's why so many men spiral into despair after heartbreak. They built their empire on sand. But the man who no longer trusts blindly builds his foundation on himself, his mission, his standards, his discipline. That's the rock no storm can move. The reality is that a woman will test you not just to see if you're strong, but to see if you're dependent. She may pull back, withhold attention, or play games just to measure whether your entire identity rests on her validation. And if it does, she loses respect instantly. That's why blind trust is dangerous. It tells her you're willing to hand over your entire soul without making her prove she deserves it. But when you stop trusting blindly, when you demand consistency and respect before giving your loyalty, you flip the script. Now it's her turn to prove, her turn to earn, her turn to show she belongs. And when she realizes she can't control you through her moods, that's when true respect begins. One of the greatest freedoms you'll ever experience is realizing you don't need to trust women fully to live with peace. You don't need blind faith in her words to build a fulfilling life. Instead, you learn to trust patterns, not promises. You trust what you see consistently, not what you're told in moments of passion. And in doing so, you create boundaries that protect you from being destroyed. You stop waiting for guarantees that will never come. And instead, you live as if loyalty is a bonus, not a foundation. That's why men who no longer trust blindly walk with a different energy. They don't cling, they don't beg, they don't panic. They know that women may come and go, but their mission, their vision, their peace remains untouchable. Another truth you must internalize is this: women respect the men who don't hand out trust easily. They may say they want your heart on a silver platter, but the reality is, they lose interest in what comes too easily. Female psychology thrives on challenge. If she doesn't have to prove herself, she doesn't value what she's given. That's why the men who hold back, who guard their hearts, who require loyalty before giving it, those are the men women chase. They may get frustrated, they may call you distant, but deep down they respect you because they know you cannot be bought with words. Your trust becomes a prize she must earn, not a gift she can waste. And that's when she starts investing differently, because she knows losing you isn't easy. This is where the power shifts forever. When you stop trusting women blindly, you stop living in fear of betrayal, because betrayal only devastates the man who never saw it coming. But when you live with eyes open, betrayal doesn't surprise you. It confirms what you already knew was possible. And instead of breaking, you adjust. You don't collapse, you pivot. That's the difference between the man who gets destroyed and the man who gets refined. The destroyed man trusted blindly, so when his illusions shattered, he shattered with them. But the refined man trusted himself, trusted his mission, trusted his standards, and so when she revealed her nature, he simply tightened his boundaries and kept moving forward. That's why, brother, saying I no longer trust a single woman alive isn't weakness, it's wisdom. When you stop blindly trusting women, something shifts inside you. You stop playing defense. Most men spend their lives guarding against betrayal, paranoid and reactive, because they've built everything on the fragile hope that she'll never turn against them. But the man who accepts reality doesn't need to play defense. He simply builds himself so strong that betrayal can't break him. He doesn't hand over his finances recklessly, doesn't reveal his deepest weaknesses too soon, doesn't allow access without boundaries. And when you move like that, brother, you're untouchable. A woman can test, betray, or even leave, and you'll still stand, not because it doesn't hurt, but because you never placed your life in her hands to begin with. Another powerful shift happens. You stop being surprised by women. Most men collapse because they live in denial, believing my girl would never do that. But once you've been burned, once you've seen loyalty dissolve overnight, once you've witnessed how quickly words can change with feelings, you stop expecting permanence. And when you stop expecting permanence, her actions no longer shock you. Instead, you observe. You read patterns. You analyze behavior. You treat her not as an exception, but as part of a larger truth about female nature. And that detachment gives you power. Because when other men are losing sleep trying to figure out why she changed, you're calmly saying, of course she did. That acceptance doesn't make you bitter, it makes you wise. When you no longer trust women blindly, your trust in yourself multiplies. You start realizing that you were never supposed to give anyone the power to validate or destroy you. That power belongs to you alone, and suddenly you move differently. You invest in your body, your money, your skills, your mind. You build a world so strong that her storms can't drown you. And ironically, that's what makes women chase you harder, because women are magnetized to the man who doesn't need them, the man who is already full, already disciplined, already thriving. And this is the paradox. Once you stop trusting women with your soul, they start trying to earn their place in it. Because scarcity creates value, and your trust has now become scarce. Here's the part that hurts the most at first, but frees you in the end. No woman alive will ever love you unconditionally. Her love will always be tied to something, how you make her feel, the security you provide, the respect you command, the strength you show. And the moment one of those things fades, her love can fade too. That's why trusting her forever is foolish. Forever does not exist in female psychology, only for now. And when you finally accept that, you stop trying to force her loyalty into permanence and start living with your eyes open. You stop asking for what her nature cannot provide, and instead, you build yourself so strong that whether she stays or goes, you remain untouched. So when I say I no longer trust a single woman alive, it's not bitterness, it's liberation. It's knowing that I don't need to gamble my peace on someone else's shifting emotions. It's knowing that no matter how much she says, no matter how much she promises, my loyalty must always remain to myself first. It's knowing that women may come and go, but my discipline, my standards, my mission, that's what stays. And once a man truly understands this, betrayal no longer destroys him, lies no longer break him, silence no longer shakes him, because he no longer builds his world on trust in women. He builds it on trust in himself. And that, brother, is the kind of strength no one can take away. The most dangerous thing a man can do is hand over blind trust, because trust is power. The one you trust has influence over your choices, your peace, and your future. And if you hand that trust to a woman without boundaries, you're basically giving her the keys to destroy you. That's why so many men lose everything in divorces, get played financially, or get emotionally broken beyond repair. It wasn't the woman who destroyed them. It was their decision to trust without caution. A king doesn't hand over his kingdom to someone who hasn't proven themselves. And yet most men hand over their hearts, their wallets, their time and their soul to women who haven't shown consistency for even a season. That, brother, is why the phrase "I no longer trust a single woman alive" becomes the line that saves you from ruin. Here's the paradox. You don't stop trusting women to push them away. You stop trusting them to protect yourself. Because the moment you stop handing out blind trust, your entire energy shifts. You're no longer desperate for their validation, no longer afraid of their rejection, no longer enslaved to their approval. You deal with them from a place of choice, not dependence. You enjoy their company without needing their loyalty. You accept their nature without resenting it. And because you expect nothing permanent, you're never blindsided when the temporary fades. That kind of detachment doesn't make you cold, it makes you powerful, because you're finally relating to women from reality, not fantasy. This is why women respect the man who doesn't trust easily. They may complain about it, they may call him guarded, they may even accuse him of being too distant, but deep down, they respect him more. Why? Because they know they can't manipulate him with words, they can't sway him with emotion, they can't control him with guilt. He lives in truth, not in illusion, and women by nature admire the man who cannot be swayed. He's the mountain, she's the weather. She can change 1,000 times, but the mountain stays unmoved. And when a man learns to be that mountain, she may test, she may push, but in the end, she knows she's dealing with someone beyond her games. That's respect, and respect is stronger than blind trust will ever be. At some point in your life, you will look back and realize every betrayal, every heartbreak, every disappointment was your greatest teacher, because those experiences carved this truth into your bones. Never hand out trust without proof, and once you live by that, you become untouchable. She can lie, she can leave, she can betray, but none of it will shatter you. You may feel pain, but you won't lose yourself. And that's the difference between weak men and strong men. Weak men collapse because they anchored their life in her. Strong men endure because they anchored their life in themselves. That's why, brother, every scar becomes armor. Every lesson becomes a standard. Every wound becomes wisdom. And wisdom is the one thing no woman can ever take away. So hear this clearly, brother. I no longer trust a single woman alive. It's not a statement of hate. It's a statement of strength. It's the declaration of a man who has seen behind the curtain and refuses to play blind anymore. It's the wisdom that allows you to engage with women without being destroyed by them. It's the shield that keeps your frame intact, your mission alive, and your soul unbroken. Trust no woman blindly. Trust only what she proves consistently. And even then, keep your loyalty anchored to yourself above all. Because in the end, women may come and go, but your purpose, your vision, your discipline, that's what will carry you through every storm. And when you live that way, brother, you'll never fear betrayal again. Because no one can betray the man who no longer hands out blind trust.